MBA Show, the best business podcast, pound for pound, because we don't fluff around with our daily 10-minute business lessons for the real world. I'm your host, your coach, your teacher, Omar Zenhome. I'm also the co-founder of the $100 MBA, a complete business training and community online. And in today's lesson, you will learn, is starting a physical business a bad idea? Is starting a traditional brick and mortar, walk into the store type of business a bad business decision? Many people think that the best way to go is to have an online business, but some of us want to have a physical store. Is this a bad move? Is having a physical store a bad long-term decision? What are some of the experiences I've had being a part of a physical store? We get into it in today's lesson, so let's get down to business. Today's episode of the $100 MBA Show is sponsored by HostGator, your all-in-one website solution. Sign up with HostGator for as little as $5 a month, and you get all their resources. 24/7 live support via phone, chat, and email. Get everything you need to get your website up and running in no time. Save 30% with this special promo code. Go to HostGator.com/MBA30. Again, that's HostGator.com/MBA30. Some of us entrepreneurs out there, we want to start a physical business. We want to have a physical store, a storefront. We want to interact with our customers and our products in real life. Now, this is not to belittle online business. Every business has its own value. And just because you have a physical business doesn't mean you can't do business online as well. You can have an online store, of course. And in fact, I highly recommend it because you're renting out a physical space anyway. And if you can have a space for storage, you can actually run your warehouse out of your store. Many people do this successfully until they start growing and, their storefront is not enough for their warehouse, and then they have to start doing some drop shipping. But the point here is that it's not one or the other. You could do both if you'd like. And I know many businesses, especially in the clothing industry, do this to have some regular income coming from the online sales to cover the costs of their physical store. So let's talk about the physical store. Yes, many of us want a physical store because they feel like their products or their services lend themselves to a physical office or a physical storefront. I mentioned clothing. Now, there are many clothing lines and apparel that is only sold online. I know that. I had a clothing line that was an online store. But also many of our sponsors, like Mack Weldon, who sells undergarments for men. It's all online. They don't have a physical store. But some of us, we want a physical store so people can touch and feel our clothing. But keep in mind that you're only allowing this to happen for the local people that are around your store. Whether that's, 10,000 people, 20,000 people, depending on your demographic in your area. So always ask yourself the question before opening a physical store, do I absolutely need to do this? Can I get started online first, make some revenue, and then later on consider that option? In my personal opinion, when it comes to clothing, yes, you can do that. Even shoes, look at Zappos. But there are some products and services that do require a physical space. Car dealerships is one of them, especially used car dealerships. Some people, they know a new car, they want it very badly, and they just order it online. Tesla is a good example. But that's the exception. Restaurants are one of them. People want to have a dining experience. It's more of a service than an actual product sometimes. You might be a doctor, a physician, and you want to open up a physical clinic. You need to be in a physical space. Same thing goes with a lawyer. Now, lawyers can consult online or on the phone, but some people want to talk face-to-face. Now, if you're a graphic designer, you don't really need a physical space. You can actually get things done all online. So keep in mind, why would you need a physical space? Is it mandatory? For some of these examples, it kind of is. So in my opinion, if you're opening up a physical business for the right reasons to meet the needs of your customers, it's definitely not a bad idea. Many physical businesses do very well on a local basis, and they are proud to be in business. They still use online marketing to bring in business. And there's certain products and services that just do well offline. I mentioned that I was a part of a physical business before, and that's because one of my first jobs was working at my father's car dealership. He was the manager at the time there, and then he took it over. But the point here is that when I was around 12 years old, my first job was cleaning cars at the dealership. I used to clean new cars, used cars that used to come in. Now, for a 12-year-old, this was like a dream job. I got to drive cars on a private lot. I got to clean, fancy, luxurious cars. I knew so much about cars, I was on cloud nine. But what I also noticed is that when it comes to car sales, people prefer to speak to somebody in person. They also need to see the car in person. They need to test drive it. It's a very big purchase. For many people, buying a car is the second largest purchase they'll ever make after buying a home. So when you're putting a lot of money down, you're going to want to kind of have an experience about it. You want to be able to make sure and see it in person. So one of the things I learned in that experience is that when you have a physical business, it's all an experience. You're really in the service industry here. People want to have a great experience when they're buying. How they're treated is really why they're staying around with you. They could shop around, but why do you go to the same physical stores? Because you just love the service there. It's easy, it's convenient, or at the very least, they leave you alone and let you buy. They don't hassle you. But the point here is that if you're thinking about starting a physical business, really focus on the experience the customer has as they walk through the door. This is why they'll return. This is why they'll be your customer. And when you have a physical business, you don't have an endless supply of customers. You got to make every customer count because you are limited to the amount of people that are in that area. It's not like you just put up a Facebook ad and then people around the country or around the world can just come to you. So physical businesses can be done right, but you got to make sure you invest the time in making a great experience for your customers. The other thing you need to consider is physical businesses have high overhead, meaning that you have a lot of expenses. You have rent, you have utilities, you have staff, you have security, you have insurance, and a whole list of other things. And these are ongoing expenses. So you got to make sure that you can minimize those expenses as much as possible. You also want to try to get in as much as possible, meaning you need to make enough money in sales and in revenue. A lot of people, they make the mistake in physical businesses and really undercut their prices. They really lower their prices when really they need to charge more because you're not only offering the product itself, you're offering the experience of buying it in person. If you take a look around your town, there's not many cheap shops around anymore. Back in the day, in the 80s, used to be all these small little shops. They used to sell things very cheaply, 99-cent stores. If you're old enough, you would remember Bradley's and Caldors and all that stuff. And that all got wiped out by the giant called Walmart. Now, Walmart can afford to lower prices because they have so much volume. They're all over the world. Not only just America, they're all over the world. They're all over Europe now. So they can afford to keep prices low and compete on price because their volume is so high. A small physical business just cannot compete on price. Do not make that mistake. Keep your prices competitive and don't be afraid to charge a little bit more. People will buy from you if they love the experience and love your products. Guys, I got more on today's topic, but before that, I got to give love to today's sponsor, HostGator. I sat down with Kyler Patterson from HostGator and asked him, why is HostGator an all-in-one solution for our listeners? Kyler, what is the biggest reason that HostGator is the best all-in-one web hosting solution, besides having an awesome name?
So I think one of the reasons that we're one of the best options out there is because we're no longer just a hosting company. I mean, you can do almost everything online or creating your online presence with us. So we will help you with your marketing, PPC, SEO. If you don't want to do your design, we can do your design. Or if you just want to redesign, we will redesign. If you need security, we help you with security. I mean, anything when it comes to your online presence, we're here to help you.
HostGator, everything you need to win online. Save 30% with our exclusive discount at HostGator.com/MBA30. That's HostGator.com/MBA30. Guys, you could definitely do well in business with a physical business. You just got to keep in mind the things I mentioned today. Also, just as a reminder, I mentioned this in other episodes. If you're thinking about borrowing money, getting some sort of loan from the bank, or using your own personal credit to get started in a physical business, I highly discourage you from doing that. You don't want to go into a business in debt. See if you can start off online, make some revenue, build your brand awareness, and use that revenue to start your physical business if you like. The reason why I'm saying this is because when you start off in debt, there's so much pressure for you to do well. And the problem is that when you start out, you need a little wiggle room. You need a little grace period for you to just get your feet wet and just get started in your business and to build your revenue, to start building your customer base. And that could take longer than expected. Sometimes it takes a couple of years. In the meantime, you're not making a profit. And a lot of businesses will have to shut down just before they're about to make it happen. So if you can use your own personal savings, if you can use your own revenue that you made online before you got started, that would be my recommendation to you. Of course, I know that's not ideal for a lot of people. I know a lot of people, they just want to get a business loan and get started. And I understand why you would make that decision. But I'm just the kind of person that doesn't recommend putting extra pressure on yourself, because starting a business is a lot of pressure, especially when you are depending on that revenue to take care of yourself and your family. All right, guys, that wraps up today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Guys, remember, tomorrow is Free Ride Friday. We give away a lifetime membership to the $100 MBA Training Community. Every Friday, we give away a lifetime membership. So make sure you leave us an iTunes rating and review so you can enter our weekly random draw and win. Leaving us a review is super easy. Just tap on your cover art. You'll see a link that says give us a review, or you can go to 100mba.net/show, and all the instructions are on the bottom of the page. Tomorrow, I'll be teaching when is rebranding your business a good idea. A hot topic that a lot of people have requested. I can't wait to get into it tomorrow, but before I go, I want to leave you with this. Having a physical business could be a lot of fun. You get to talk to your own customers, you get to know them, they become your friends actually. But there are some factors that may be out of your control, like the price of your rent, the area you're in, and of course you can make some changes, like you can move your business somewhere else. But always have a rainy day contingency plan. Make sure when you're running a physical business that you have a little bit of wiggle room, just in case some things don't work out. Same thing goes online. But because you have a higher overhead, a recurring overhead, you want to make sure that you're covered just in case. All right, guys, I hope that helps, and hope to see you in tomorrow's episode. I'll see you then. Take care.